welcome to Brain Chat. I'm Dr. Mitzi Joy Williams, your board-certified neurologist and MS specialist, and my mission is to engage, educate, and empower those affected by MS to become an active part of their healthcare team. Here on Brain Chat, we'll be discussing all things MS, health and wellness, advocacy, and we'll even throw a little bit of music and music therapy in there as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned for the next episode. Well, happy Monday, everybody. It's Dr. Mitzi, the nerdy neurologist, and welcome to another episode of Brain Chat. We're so excited to be talking about patient-powered advocacy, and I like the title of the show, Power to the People. And I've got some amazing people on this show with me today. We want to thank our sponsor, the National MS Society, and thank you to all of you for logging in and spending your time to learn a little bit more about advocacy in the MS space, and hopefully this information will help you or your loved ones or those that you interact with who have MS. So bringing up to the stage, we have two amazing folks. We have Victoria Reese, who is a co-founder of We Are Ill, an organization focused on Black women with MS. And we have Damian Washington, who is an actor, comedian, all the things, and has his own YouTube show called No Stress MS. And he has recently relocated to Spain. Madrid, Spain specifically. And we'd love to hear about adventures there as we get further into the show. Welcome back to Brain Chat, both of you guys.
It is wonderful being here. It is such a joyous moment to be here with you all. Thank you.
Absolutely. So such a fun time with you guys. So this is going to be, listen, I know the time is going to fly by. But for those who are not familiar with your work, as I am, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey with MS. I'll start with you, Damian, then I'll go to you, Victoria.
Oh, I was going to give it to the ladies first. But peace, y'all. Damian Washington. I've had multiple sclerosis since 2017. And essentially, as I was working my way through Hollywood, trying to get on TV longer than 30 seconds, I was good at doing commercials. But as I was doing that, I got diagnosed with MS. And just because I'm good on the camera and talking to it, my YouTube vlog turned into me at my infusion center and me trying to figure out what's good with this medication for multiple sclerosis, and et cetera, et cetera. So I just keep making MS content and people keep watching it, and it's 6,500 people later, and the nerd and neurologist as well, and all the great, cool people who make wonderful content about folks, for folks with multiple sclerosis. That's how I'm here.
Awesome. What about you, Victoria?
Well, I was diagnosed in 2012. I was just 25 and living in LA. Not pursuing acting, but pursuing entertainment. We all moved to LA to fulfill our dreams or chase our dreams. And I started experiencing numbness and tingling in my legs and went to see my primary care physician. Wasn't really getting the investigation that I thought it deserved because it kept happening over and over again. And after a few relapses, what I now know were relapses, that same primary care physician was able to unofficially say that it was MS after a few weird things that he thought it might have been. And I'm here today as founder of a patient advocacy organization that supports Black girls that were me at that time. I was looking for the things that our organization offers, which is support specifically for Black women living with MS. And our mission is to redefine what sick looks like. And it looks like us on this call. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You know, and you all have in your own unique ways contributed so much to the MS community. But what prompted you to kind of enter that advocacy space, right? So it's one thing to, be around your friends, to tell your story to those around you, to maybe even do something at a local program or volunteer with a society. But what prompted you to kind of go that extra step and really, develop? I'm sure you didn't go into it to develop the influence that you have, but, obviously the work that you all both are passionate about and the content you're passionate about creating has, helped so many. What helped you take that kind of second leap to go from telling your story just to your friends to being like, you know what, I'm gonna tell my story to whoever will listen, and I'm gonna see if I can help somebody?
I'm always giving it to the lady first.
Okay. Well, similar to Damian, I started doing YouTube videos. This was before I did, thought I needed an organization or anything, but I started doing YouTube videos. And what I would say what prompted me was I was doing, a talk here or there, or trying to really understand the ecosystem. I was going to events or going to fundraising events, going to walks and things, just trying to figure out what this community looks like. And when I started to see what the overall community looked like, I was like, I am the only one. And I think as an African American person, if you're watching, you know what I mean. But if you're not African American, when you say the only one, you mean you're the only Black person. And I kept having that over and over again. And then, or experiencing that over and over again. And then when I was doing my own research, looking for things that, like, this is before the DEI trend, which like, look at me trying to sound all like mature. But this is before the DEI thing. But in general, naturally, I was looking for African Americans living with MS. How does MS affect African Americans? So whether I was online looking for it or in real life, I was looking for this community that represented me or that I felt more comfortable in. And I wasn't really finding it. And if I did find it, I felt that the way I was doing it was a little different and it needed to be done, or that I could say it in a way that other people could say it, or when I arrived, that I would resonate. Even the way I wear my hair and braids or something would resonate with people, which was what I was looking for. So that's really what prompted me. Like, I did not find a me. So I'm like, okay, I'll be the me, if that makes sense. Like, I'll do it. And that's kind of what led me here today.
I love it. What about you, Damian?
That's powerful, Victoria. I'm a guy who, again, I'm on camera, so I've done 36 national commercials and voiceovers for folks like Realtor.com with Elizabeth Banks and Ring with Shaquille O'Neal. Like, so like, this is my job. And at some point in my career, as I'm expanding it, it becomes important for me to make content and create content. And you can go on my YouTube channel and look, there's a solid 6 months of Damian's going to get a haircut. Damian is taking a trip with his family to Mauritius. You don't even know where Mauritius is. And me just trying to get out of my own way with making content. You know, they say the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And I knew I needed to make content, and people were telling me I needed to, but it was always something that I didn't really figure out how to do. But when I got my spinal tap and I was on 2 weeks of bed rest and couldn't really do anything but pee and sleep or be in excruciating pain for 14 days. My wife said 12, but that counted 13.
It was 14 in man days.
It was 14 man days. In that period, like, I called a couple of friends, like, just to have more love on the line, and was just alone with my thoughts in excruciating pain if I moved. And in that, I was like, I'm going to get out of this bed one day. And when I do, what are some things that I have not done, I've been scared to do, that I'm going to do? And creating content was one of them. And like I say, there's months of content on the channel. And another cave that I had to, fear cave I had to run into, I didn't want to make MS content. I'm like, I'm cool. I do all this other cool stuff. Look at the fun stuff I do. No, bro. when I took my camera to the infusion center, thousands of people watched. And so I made all of my other cool videos, and no, nobody watched. Did a follow up to that infusion center video. Thousands of people watched. And I was like, well, I don't want to be the MS guy, but I guess I got to be the MS guy. And every week dropped a video about MS on that same schedule that I was dropping those other videos that nobody watched. And at that clip, and I guess my voice and how I talk about stuff and the way that I cut video, it all just sort of came together now that, hey, this is what people watch because he's talking about therapies that are new on the market that I'm curious about. I'm curious about the process. He's taking us to the infusion center. He's showing us the whole thing. He's talking to the nurse. He's going to the healthcare department when they give him this $68,000 bill for his medicine. And he's like, I have insurance, so figure this out, et cetera, et cetera. They're watching my ups. They're watching my downs. And it all became about how I'm living this life with multiple sclerosis for the most, not better or worse, but just through it all, I have MS just like the people who watch the thing. And I think that's the thing that resonates most with folk. And that's why people want to tune in and keep tuning in.
Yeah, well, I first want to, say thank you to both of you. It takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to be honest. Social media in our day and age, whether it's YouTube, whether it is IG, all the spaces, is a lot about flexing, right? It's a lot about, living your best life, which is true, but they're only snippets. And people very rarely are honest about the parts of their life that are maybe uncomfortable. But those are often the things that resonate, when, influencers will get on and talk about hot flashes, they're like millions of people watch, right? But, when they talk about that new purse they got, then it's like, and so it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable and to be honest, and to honestly put yourself in front of potential criticism, because although we would like to think the world is perfect, people find something to complain about. If they see little puppies, they can complain about the puppies. You know what I mean? So, I first want to applaud both of you, for that effort and for that honesty, because it's helped so many people. And I have so many people come into my office that say, I watched this or I saw this, and oh my God, like, I just didn't know there were other people like me. And, this really helped me. So, thank you for that. And I want to kind of go into the next part where we talk a little bit about why the patient voice is central. Now, I've been a, doctor in the MS space for over 20 years. And there's been a lot of, I was also talking about DEI before there was a DEI push, and nobody wanted to pay attention to me when I'd be like, well, let's talk about Black people. They were like, yeah, we don't want to talk about that. But now that we're seeing, this shift, we're also seeing a shift in actually including the patient voice. Now, I will say that many of us in the healthcare space act as kind of representatives for what we see in the clinic, but for the majority of my career, we were the ones telling people what the patients wanted, but there were never any patients there to say what they wanted. And sometimes that was because of legal issues. You can't just bring patients in all the spaces. But sometimes I think in other cases, it was oversight. So I want to talk about how the patient voice is central. I know that I have learned a lot by listening to people and individuals with MS. I approach it with a lot of humility because I don't know everything about everybody. But I want you guys to kind of tell the audience a little bit about why that's important.
I will continue to go first since I am the lady.
I think that's going to be the order. I think that's
jump in.
We can just breeze right through. So I think it's a few things. The patient voice being central to sometimes I want to say for obvious reasons, but let's not do that. Everything is not so obvious to everyone. But not only is it on trend right now, but I mean, for me, a part of my values is authenticity. And the authenticity that I felt that was actually needed in patient advocacy is what makes me excited about the work. Because to me, when you have the patient, when you include the patient's voice, you're including authentic experience, like firsthand experience of what people are going through. And everything, like the healthcare industry changes because the world changes. The world changes. The DMTs that are available on the market changes over time. How people are affected by it changes over time. So all these changes, in order to move with the changes, we're going to have to continue to hear more voices and things like that. And then also, no one is the same. So everyone lending their different stories contributes to the big pot of how we would benefit from customized experiences or empathy when it comes to healthcare services. So I think authenticity and credibility, by providing firsthand experiences. And I think ultimately that leads to improved health outcomes, because now if we're providing these firsthand experiences, now we're, educating, not maybe on science data, but we're educating healthcare providers like yourself, Dr. Missy, on how we see it. And, maybe a missed mark, a doctor could be trying everything they could to do this, to land on this. And then the patient is like, I really just want you to hear me. Like, I really just want you to not bark at me and tell me what to do, but actually include me in that decision. So I believe all of that helps. And then last but not least, from the DEI lens, there's a difference. There's always been education, maybe minimal, but it's always been education on African Americans living with MS, or African Americans living with this or that, Black people this. But there is a very big difference with being and knowing what a Black person is versus Black culture. And Black culture heavily affects who a person is, how they do stuff, what they think, what they thought, how they come into this appointment, and how maybe apprehension and all those things. So I think from the work that I'm doing, as far as, adding the patient voice, I want to make sure the patient voice includes not just Black patient voice, but from a Black culture lens. Like, this is what we understand. We understand Nas. We understand this, and we understand that as well.
Yeah, I love it. What about you, Damian?
For me, it's I'm able to be a mouthpiece, and I think it's just that the concerns that I have, other patients have, and I'm thinking about the things that a patient is thinking about, and wanting to know. Whenever all of my videos are about me, my curiosity, and who was the first person to have MS? And like, oh, did you know it was Ludina of Skidam in, I don't even know. I forget the country.
14th century.
Thank you very much. Okay, see, that's why I'm here with you, doctor. Anyway, what I'm saying is that, and I can make that funny in a 1-minute video. And that's pretty much what it is. My curiosity is being fulfilled, and my recognized game right here. The big nerd that I am, I've always got a bajillion tabs open and 36 gigs of RAM, and I'm here all day, every day, learning about things and reading things. And my RSS feeder is just giving me the news of what's going on. And if things resonate with me, I know they'll resonate with somebody who relates to me, even if it's only that they have MS. So there's people across the world who it's like, okay, you're a mom of 2 boys in Barcelona, but we vibe. So we like each other's videos and comments and stuff, where it's like, you are a dude in Canada. Like there's so many different ways that people see themselves in you if you are speaking your truth. And and you place no importance upon whether it will be received or not. I think that's the something that trips people up. Like, well, even if I could figure out something to say, like, is anybody gonna listen? Well, that's unimportant if anyone will listen. The audience, if you build it, they will come. The audience will come if you are standing 10 toes down, speaking about what's important to you, and not really speaking so that you can be heard. You're
Mhm.
speaking for yourself. You're speaking to yourself. And in that, and with that, through that, you get to speak to thousands of people.
Yeah. I mean, that's so amazing because I was talking about in one of our other episodes, one of the first times I gave a big talk was when I was a resident in my neurology training, and we went to Canada for this big conference, myself and some of my professors. We had a patient advocate with us, and we were talking about patient-centered care. We traveled to Winnipeg in the dead of winter in Canada, and nobody came to our talk. Not
Mm,
one person. It was at the end of the
mm,
conference. The only person that was there was the monitor who was passing out the
mm.
surveys. And when I tell you we gave that talk, like that auditorium was
Oh
full
yeah.
with
Oh
200
yeah.
people, you
Come now.
know. And so again, the power of telling your story is that even if, let's say, the room is empty the first time, now I can give a talk and the room is full, right? And so you still can tell your story with that same enthusiasm, with that same power. And I mean, the lady gave us a standing ovation. I guess we did a good job, but she literally was the only one there, you know.
Ah,
So I
love it.
love what you said, Damian, about telling it not because you want the attention, or not because you're trying to gain followers, but really because you're trying to help somebody. And maybe that first time you tell it, it may not reach that many people, but maybe that 10th time you tell it, gosh, somebody's life could be changed. So what is the power of telling your story? So we kind of touched on it a little bit,
Mhm.
but what do you think the power is of telling your story, not just for you, but for others who are out there who may be afraid? I meet a lot of people who won't talk about their diagnosis, who maybe haven't even told their children, or close family members about their diagnosis. What's the power of telling your story?
I guess it's me. I think that a few things. I think, well, similar to what we've both touched on, like people connect with people. So MS is a big deal. It's a big disease, but it's a term. It's a diagnosis. It's a therapeutic area. It's a big thing, right? It could be a textbook, but
Mhm.
until you like put personal, like a name, a face, a story, an identity, an experience to that, it changes the whole game, because then it starts to humanize, our personal stories start to humanize us within MS. So we are not just patient A, B, or patient 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are Victoria and Damian that live with MS, and they got diagnosed at this age, at this year, in this town, with this doctor, with this experience. It took him this long to be diagnosed. It took me this long. My doctor told me I need to do 2 MRIs. He had a spinal tap. Like, it's just, this now opens up a can of worms and a can of curiosity of
Mhm.
how can we change the trajectory of people who have Victoria's experience or Damien's experience. Now you open it up some strategy here and curiosity for people who actually care and are passionate about the outcomes and the experiences that just people have in general. So
Mhm.
I believe like telling stories really lets people know that we exist and what this is really like. And it allows
Mhm.
people to do their jobs better who want to actually help us. It allows them to do their job better.
Mm.
And it's so interesting because when I think about medical training, the way that you remember a condition is you remember the first patient you saw who had it, right? So if I thought about diabetes, I would think about my first person with it. If I thought about the components of some type of cancer, I would think about the gentleman I saw in the hospital who had that type and what his labs were and all of that. And I think it's interesting that, the medical community used to be very descriptive. Like if you read old papers from the 40s, like people were like writing short novels. It was like, and then they came through the door with a gust of wind. And you know what I mean? It was not sterile like our journals now. And so we've gone from
Mm.
storytelling to certainly making things more standardized. But I think that in some cases we've gotten away a little bit in the medical community from really embracing stories, right? Which really humanize our patients and help us to better understand different aspects of the condition. Damian, tell me your thoughts about the power of sharing your story.
it's your story, and like MS is individual in everyone. It's like it's the thumbprint disease. You know, there's billions of bajillions of trillions of thumbprints in the world, but there's only one of your thumbprint. And the more you put it out, the more you just unapologetically show up for yourself, in spite of yourself, on behalf of yourself, it fulfills countless other people, a myriad of other people who you don't even know will watch this at some other point in time that is not now, and some other place that is not here. And that's the power of the medium that we're on, really. Like if we were all putting up patient advocacy plays in a black box theater somewhere, that would be one thing. I've been doing that for quite some time. And the more, when I first really figured out, like, oh, a commercial is, I go to a place, I show up, everybody shoots a whole bunch of stuff on video, and then what they cut together with it will live forever.
Mm.
It's not this one performance that you only get to see one time, but no, you get to make something that is always there. And if you figure out some way to become your own storyteller, to grow your own story, yeah, you may have some heebie-jeebies, or what if it's not good, or what if it's not, but what if, fill in the blank. If you continue to show up, you're going to figure out how to tell your story. Like, it's just math, it's physics, it's push-ups. You might not be good at the first couple of push-ups, but by the time you do 50, 100 push-ups, you're going to be really good at doing that motion, and you will be stronger. And the other people who resonate with that and can learn from that themselves and learn how to do their own push-ups in their own way will get stronger as well. So that's really what it's stepping through and just working the muscles. My 63rd vlog was my popular vlog. Do you have 63 that every dang week, man? But I was just focused. No, excuse me, no, 37. My mind is going because it's late. But no, 37, because I'm like, it's half the year, not more than the year. 37 vlogs where I showed up every week and nobody watched, except for those 1-2 times. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'll make this, even though I'm scared to. And I made so many of those, hundreds of those, and there's thousands of people there now. So like, it's that sort of showing up. And this is the only thing that you can bring forth, and it will never be here again if you don't do it. So it's your responsibility to also do it. It's with great awesomeness comes great responsibility.
Right. And sometimes, you just have to do it afraid. People never believe I was terrified of public speaking.
I'm scared right now.
You are not scared right now.
You say terrified?
Right. So I used to be terrified of public speaking. And actually, I started speaking. My speaking came out of singing. So, if you grew up in a Black church and you sang in a church choir, I would sing solos. I was never like one of those people who was like in front of a mic as a kid. Literally, somebody had to tell me I could sing. And they were like, oh, you can sing. I was like, really? And so I was like, okay. And so when I would first start singing, literally my leg would shake so uncontrollably, like I would almost fall down in the choir stand. And I just kept doing it. And then like I started singing solos. I started leading worship. First time I led worship, I looked at the wall. I didn't even look at the people. I just sang to the wall, and then I turned around and sang to the other wall. And again, it was that consistency. It was showing up. It was continuing to work at it. It was asking for feedback, asking for advice, okay, what can I improve? And continuing to work on it, that got, me to the point where I can feel comfortable speaking in front a couple thousand people, but again, you have to start somewhere, and sometimes you have to do it afraid, and doing it afraid, you never know how you taking that leap could really, impact so many lives and make such a difference in people's lives, so you do not have to be the biggest public speaker, not afraid. You just got to take that leap and just get out there. So when we think about, the power of storytelling, and we think about, sharing, a lot of people say, hey, I'm sure people come up to you guys or DM you on social media. I want to get started. I don't know where to start. What advice would you give people who want to get involved in advocacy, who want to start sharing their story? Where do they start?
Yeah, I would say start right where you are with what you have. And I think all three of us have kind of alluded to that. We all started at different places with different backgrounds, but we started at different places. And, I think we have this perfectionism thing going on in society, especially as it means to social media and things like that. And you want all these things, and you see that the things are available, but not available to you. Like at that moment, if you want to do a podcast, you do not have the best mic, but you see all these people with the best equipment. Or you want to do a podcast, but you want to record it, or a YouTube video, you want to record it, but you don't got the right lights, but you see that the lights are available. And you just like, I cannot do this until I get all the lights. And then you wait a year, 3 months, 4 months, it keeps adding up till you're waiting till the time is right. And it's like, you can just start small, start with your phone. Start with your phone and then work your way up. And you may not ever even have to get off the phone. That's the cool thing about it all too. You are the content creator, not saying like phones, because phones are snazzy now.
They really are.
In general, my show is shot 1000% from an iPhone. And then little do you know, 2 years later, Apple is sponsoring your podcast because you completely bootstrapped from your phone the whole time. So start where you are. You don't have to know everything. I think, that was something that I was a little afraid of when I started doing YouTube videos. I was like, I don't know everything. I literally don't know everything. But then I shifted my conversation and my topics to fit a person who don't know nothing. And it was like, I'm talking about, I don't know enough. I want to learn where to go, and that was actually the basis of my content. And I made sure to caveat, I am not a healthcare professional. Please consult with your doctor. And I learned that from going to different programs, seeing that everybody would say it. So I started saying it in YouTube videos. So just start where you are. The best part of being you is that you are you, and no one's like you. So start where you are, no matter how high, low, big, small. There's people that have all the equipment, all the funds to make it a masterpiece, and it still is trash because they don't talk about anything of relevancy or of passion or integrity. So it's not about having it all. Just start where you are.
Trash. Yeah, I wanted to say that.
It's funny.
Statement.
So I started doing videos before I started this podcast. I would do them upstairs in my house, and my daughter would be in the tub. Wow, for some reason, every time I went live, my daughter would be in the tub. So I'm trying to record these videos and tell everybody this is about MS. And she's like, hey, mom, I'm ready to wash. You know what I mean? So, listen, everybody's got to start somewhere. You know, so I love what you said, Victoria. Just start with what you have, right? Hopefully your child is not yelling for you to wash in the middle of your podcast like mine. However, if that's where you need to start, look at how far we've come. We've come a long way. Look at us now. All right, Damian, what advice would you give?
Yeah, no, it's ringing that same bell of just start. There's whatever prevents you. The thing is, I deal with this. Victoria deals with this. Dr. Williams deals with this. There's always something in front of you that will slow you down, and it looks like you, and it talks like you, and it has your thoughts and these sorts of things. The way to mainly have an effect is to figure out how to get on the other side of that person that looks like you and talks like you and it knows all of your moves, that handsome or beautiful person. Listen to them because they are you. However, their opinion about it, it's unimportant. And I'm careful about the words that I use. I work to use words other than not or don't or whatever. You can say the same thing without using a negative word. Um, the critic, the thing that's slowing you down, is unimportant. Trust me, I'm dealing with it my own way. Like, if you watch my blog's been, after the first 3 years, I've, been posting more sporadically. There's many more things going on in my life and time, including being on this wonderful podcast right here, right now. But just show up and show up again and again and have zero expectation about the outcome and what will come from it or who might see it, etc., etc. That is unimportant. The only important thing is that you make the thing. If that's a 20-minute podcast, if that's a 3-minute blog post, or however many carousels you're going to do on Instagram in a day or a week or whatever, show up. Especially when you're not receiving anything from it, because even if you veer off from that path, you will find something that you do regardless if one person watches. And then that's the thing that we need from you. And that's the thing where thousands of people will watch.
And you never know the impact that you have and when you'll see that result. I recently put a post on Instagram of a young lady that I met at a meeting, and I had done a lecture for her college like 4 years ago, like height of COVID. I didn't remember giving the lecture, but a couple of people asked me to do something for the college. And so I talked about neuroscience. I talked about my career. And here I am sitting at breakfast, and this girl walks up to me. Well, lady, she's not a girl. This lady walks up to me and she's like, "Oh my God, are you the nerdy neurologist?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "You gave a lecture to my class in college, and now I'm getting ready to start neurology residency." And I did not remember, right? And so again, know that your voice is unique. Nobody can tell it like you tell it. And even if you don't see the impact, then it may be 5-6 years from now. Victoria, somebody may walk up to you and say, "Oh my God, that We Are Ill conference saved my life." Or, "Damian, I really was about to give up on my medicine. When I saw you getting your infusions, it changed the game for me." You just never know. And so, that would be my encouragement as well. Just keep showing up and keep doing it. Even if you don't see the results now, it could be 10 years from now, and you literally could save somebody's life or change the trajectory of their life just by you being brave enough to, speak your truth and to tell your story.
Doc,
Yeah, go for it.
Yo, it's none of your business, man. Whether this resonates with people, your business, show up. And once you figure out how to make that connection in that way, you just keep showing up. And I'm stammering because this is a lot coming out right here, right now. Because again, it's none of your business. That's the business of the people who show up. And your business is to put the thing out that makes them show up. So yeah, you listen to how it will be received and adjust accordingly, but all you do is just put out your truth and keep shaping what that looks like and what that means to you, because it has to be fun. I enjoy this. Dr. Williams enjoys this podcast. Victoria just showing up in the space. Yeah, it's work. Yeah, it's a lot to focus on, but you enjoy it.
You're passionate about it.
You're passionate about it. Again, it's none of your business, bro. So mind your business and make that comment.
Damian has spoken. All right. So listen, guys, this time has gone by so fast, but I have one last question that I want to ask before we end today's show. I know that this will inspire so many. You all are inspiring. You inspire me, which is why I love having conversations with you all. But the last question I have, and I ask this at every show, is what are you excited about? So in this patient focused movement. We're talking about all kind of things like patient advocacy. I'm seeing, you, Damian, at programs hosting things. I'm seeing Victoria moderating sessions at our conferences. We're seeing more presence of, individuals living with this condition really being at the forefront with organizations and all other types of work. So what are you excited about in the space? We'll start with you, Damian.
I'm excited about how people will continue to evolve their voice and how that continues to grow in their own ways. That it is exciting to see what happens when people show up and then a thing happens and then they keep showing up on that thing and then something else that they could not have planned shows up and then they show up in that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's really what I'm excited about.
And what about you, Vic?
I'm excited to redefine what sick looks like, but redefine what patienthood looks like. I think we have this new wave of patients, and I think, we have this textbook definition of what patients are, and I think people have kind of a square box, put patients in a box of what they would look like. And I love that we are advocates, we are health literate. I love that we are not just on the panel, moderating the panel, like you mentioned. We're not just at the conference, we're hosting the conference. We have our own celebrity in a way. And I love that because it's we switched it. We're not at the bottom. We never were at the bottom of the totem pole, but it felt like it because of how the positioning of what a patient's supposed to be. I'm showing up to my appointment. I don't know, doc, tell me what it is. And it's
right.
The new patient is well, actually, doc, you know what I mean? And it's this is a new wave of people more informed, more confident, more empowered. So I'm actually loving that. I'm all for it. And that's just the most exciting thing ever.
And I think, it is exciting, because we talk a lot about shared decision making, and shared means that everybody has to have something to say. And so I'm excited about the fact that, people come in, they're like, whatever you say. And I'm like, no, that's not what we finna do. I mean, what we're about to do, but not what we finna do. We ain't finna do that. And then I think I am also excited about learning, 20 years into the game. There's a lot that I still have left to learn, and I do a lot more listening. I mean, I've always done a lot of listening, but I really listen with the intent to learn. And I have learned so much, from amazing advocates like you and Damian and Tyler, but I learned so much from my patients. And so sometimes I just have to approach it from a sense of humility and be like, hey, listen, I don't know exactly what's going on, but we're going to figure it out together. And they'll bring me an article and I'll be like, I don't know, but by the next time you come, I'm going to read that article and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it again. And so I love the fact that in some cases we're learning together, but that I have the opportunity to really listen and to try to make sure that I am making good decisions alongside those individuals who trust me enough to come and see me and allow me to help them in their healthcare journey. So listen, guys, you guys are amazing. I could talk to y'all all night, but Damian is in the middle of the night over in Italy, so we got to let him get to bed, and Vic has things to do. And so, again, thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for the wisdom that you have imparted into our audience tonight. And thank you so much to everyone who is watching Brain Chat. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. But before we do that, tell the people where to find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Picture This Vic, and for the organization at We Are Illmatic.
All right, Damian, where do we
I'm
find
on,
you from?
youtube.com/NoStressMS. And other than that, type in Damian Washington with 2 A's anywhere. You gonna find me because I'm a
Yes, they shall. All right. Everyone have a good night. We'll see you on the next Brain Chat.